My sister's voice still haunts me when she sneered. "You were never really part of this family anyway, get out and stop pretending." I'm Isabella Clark and I'm 32 years old. I never imagined coming home to our family meeting would turn into a nightmare with my things shoved into old boxes at the door of our modest shop in Oakland, California. There she stood, arms crossed her face, twisted in that smug satisfaction she'd worn since we were kids. No heads up, no talk, just her sharp command echoing through the room as she declared the family business was hers alone. It hit like a punch, especially after I'd poured my heart into keeping it afloat while she chased her fancy corporate job. But instead of praise, I got betrayal. Her words cutting deep about how I didn't deserve a share because I was just adopted. I scanned her expression for any remorse but saw only cold calculation. Rather than crumbling, I grabbed my keys, walked out and drove off without looking back. Weeks later, she flooded my phone with desperate pleas to return. Little did I know that moment hid an uglier truth about our family, one that would force me to dig deep and strike back. Before I get into the rest, I'd love to hear from you in the comments. What time is it where you are? Which city, and have you ever dealt with sibling betrayal like this? It's wild how these stories connect us all. Being the adopted one in our tight-knit household in Oakland wasn't a walk in the park from day one. My father passed in a shady business deal gone wrong when I was 10. Police called it an accident, but folks around whispered about debts and foul play. My mother had to juggle raising me and my sister alone after that. My sister, 4 years older, quickly became the golden child, acing school and landing internships while I struggled with fitting in. My mother worked as a clerk at a local bank, always hammering home how she'd given up her life for us. I've sacrificed everything to keep this roof over your heads. She'd snap during our weekly family huddles, her voice laced with that guilt-tripping edge. As time rolled on, my mother's affection turned conditional, doled out based on who followed her rules. She pushed for safe paths, jobs with benefits partners she could brag about at neighborhood gatherings. My sister ate it up, majoring in finance at UC Berkeley, snagging a role at a big firm downtown, and even tying the knot with a steady guy from her office. They were my mother's trophy set, living proof she'd done something right. Me, I bucked the trend, studying graphic design and grabbing a gig at a small marketing agency helping local brands with visuals that actually popped. It wasn't the fat paycheck my mother craved, and she never let me forget it. "When are you gonna get a real job like your sister?" She'd grill me over coffee, her disappointment dripping like acid. My sister piled on with those sly digs like, "You'll get it once life kicks you in the teeth." Acting all superior, even though I'd been pulling my weight since college. Sticking around home post-grad made sense at first. Oakland rents were skyrocketing, and my starter salary barely covered loans. "Pitch in and you can stay," my mother had laid down when I moved back. So I did, forking over $500 monthly stocking the fridge, handling repairs on our family shop, that little corner store my father built from scratch. But none of it bought me any real respect. Tension simmered as I hit my late 20s. My sister's drop-ins became critique fests where they'd dissect my lack of drive right to my face. "You gotta plan ahead," my mother would say, eyeing my sister's ring like it was some badge of honor. I watched friends snag their own places, date without the third-degree interrogations about every outing. But family ties and the cash crunch kept me anchored. Things shifted when I nailed a big client at work, a rebrand for a community nonprofit that got rave reviews online. I spent nights tweaking designs, sourcing feedback on a shoestring, and pitching ideas that landed. My boss pulled me aside after, "This opens doors for you, maybe lead on the next one." It was my first real win outside their bubble. I swung by the shop on my way home, picking up treats, a scarf for my mother, a planner for my sister, eager to share at our next huddle. But her reply to my excited texts was curt. "Sounds okay. Meeting at 7. That evening, rummaging in the back storage for some old files to show off my work, I tripped over a dusty crate shoved behind inventory boxes. Inside were faded papers. My father's original business deed, a scribbled note from him, dated right before the incident, and what seemed like the real partnership docs. The note warned about insiders who might twist things for gain. The deed split the shop equally between us kids upon my mother's say-so or challenge. But I'd heard years back that my father left it all to her. My pulse quickened piecing it together. Signatures looked off and mentions of a shady partner tied to my mother's circle. This reeked of a setup for control. I stuffed them in my bag, questions swirling. Why bury this, and why surface now? Heading to the front for the meeting, the counter was set with usual snacks. Chips, sodas, the scent masking the storm brewing. My sister lounged there, tapping her phone while my mother sorted receipts without a glance. "You're cutting it close," my mother said flatly, that familiar bite in her tone. I set my bag down the doc's weight, making my fingers twitch. "We gotta talk," I said, yanking out the deed and my father's note, slapping them on the counter like cards in a high-stakes game. My mother's eyes sharpened as she picked up the note and my sister dropped her phone, her casual vibe cracking into wariness. "What the hell is this?" my mother demanded, scanning the lines with feigned confusion. I didn't back down. Dad's original deed and a warning he wrote before that deal went south. "It splits the shop between me and my sister, equally not all to you, and the signatures, they don't add up." The air went thick, the only noise the hum of the fridge in the back. My sister's color drained. She knew something. I could see it in how she dodged my stare. My mother slammed the note down. "You've been digging through my stuff. This is ancient history." I held firm. "It was buried with shop records you probably forgot about." Dad flagged shady insiders screwing us over. Was that accident really bad luck? Or did you and your old contact rig it for the insurance bump? My sister's face twisted. She had to be in on it from the way she fidgeted. My mother leaned in her voice, rising. "You don't know squat. Your father was reckless, that's on him. The deed got updated fair and square, and that contact was just helping with books." But her grip on the counter whitened, knuckles popping, and I pushed harder. "The handwriting doesn't match Mom. I cross-checked with old invoices he signed, and the note names your contact outright, pushing for tweaks to lock in control. You were involved with him, weren't you? That's why you buried the real split to hog it all." My sister jumped in defensive. "Back off, this is old crap. Mom did what she had to. We were broke after Dad." I wheeled on her. "You knew, didn't you? Covering your cut while I get scraps." The fight blew up quick. My mother jabbed a finger at me. "Spout this garbage to anyone and I'll bury you. I'll spread word you're nuts jealous of your sister's wins. You'll tank your job, your circle gone." Her threat lit a fire in me, but it just steeled my nerves. "Jealous? You've puppeteered us forever, valuing cash and status over everything. Dad aimed for us to have a fair shot, but you swiped at the shop, the equity worth over $200,000. That was ours, not your dirty laundry." My sister squirmed. "I didn't get the full picture. Mom said the update was for stability, but if it's legit..." She trailed off, glancing at my mother for cues, her usual front crumbling. I snatched back the papers, my tone ice cold despite the fury churning. "This ain't about envy. You've stripped me of home-based trust, even Dad's legacy. Time I flip the script." My mother barked a harsh laugh. "Think you can take me on? You're the screw-up who picked a flaky path. Go for it. Watch how fast you crash without us." My sister tried bridging. "Chill out, maybe we hash this as kin." But I saw her game. Years of quiet had been self-preservation, guarding what she figured was hers. The huddle devolved into a war zone of shouts, my mother denying the fling and tweaks, insisting the note was bogus, and the contact vanished. But the proof stared back her bluff, sealing my doubts. As voices peaked, I pocketed my keys. "I'm out. Your lies end here." I bolted through the door, heart pounding with schemes forming. In my car, I punched in a contact from a quick search, a lawyer versed in business disputes. "This is Daniel Hayes. The line picked up. Need help? I spilled the basics voice steady but edged. Got evidence my mother faked my father's deed. Gotta challenge it. He slotted me in for tomorrow. Pulling away from that spot, the sting hardened into grit. I'd unmask them, cost be damned. The morning meet was at his spot in a sleek downtown building, him in a crisp suit, 40s no-frills vibe that cut through my whirl. Lay it out, he said, pen poised. I passed the deed note and docs recounting the blowout, my mother's warnings, my sister's dodge. My words clipped but fueled. He pored over them, frowning. Smells like fraud. Signatures won't hold against records I can pull, and the note could swing if verified. Challenging in California courts drags, but this might rush a probe into the insurance too. He mapped steps expert on forgeries motion to lock assets like the shop witness hunts. That contact's name rings bells. I'll probe his trail. If ties or plots surface, it goes criminal. I nodded, blueprint clicking. Expose her. No free pass. He flagged fees of 5,000 retainer but cut a plan for my bind. Stepping out, a sliver of power sparked amid the mess. From there, I bunked at my best friend's pad, a snug loft near the agency where we met. She took my frantic call last night without blinking. Crash here, no questions, she said, hauling boxes into her guest spot. Over tea that afternoon, I unloaded the mess the faked deed suspected tie-in to my father's end. Her jaw dropped. That's messed up. But payback, it could backfire big. Torn between backing me and hating the chaos she tossed and help tapping her network at the city archive for clippings on my father's deal. Unintentionally, she let slip a detail a former shop clerk had seen my mother's contact hanging around lately, which gave the lawyer a solid lead to pull records. I didn't mean to kick up dust, she owned up later, but it supercharged the probe. To stay sharp, I lined up sessions with a therapist zeroed in on family blow-ups linked through the agency's HR. Our kickoff was in her sleek space downtown where I'd dumped the whole tangle. That fury's real, she said, but steer it right, revenge can swallow you whole. Let's tool up to keep steady. She walked me through quick breaths for freakouts and jotting moods to sort plot from pure fire. See the end game, she pushed in round 2. Equity, not explosion. It landed partial, but dug up blame too. Had I blind-spotted hints young, she countered. Kid, you couldn't. Own your now. Amid schemes, routine rolled. I scanned rentals online, snagging a tidy spot in the East Bay 900 monthly simple with a nook for drafts. Move-in ate a weekend my best friend schlepping gear while I dodged my mother's buzzes. At work, the client score delivered. Boss upped me to lead creative, adding 8,000 annual and bendy hours for the fray. I plunged into fresh campaigns, coaching on edgy layouts that mirrored my drive to channel the mess. The guy I'd been casual with from the team, a strategist who prized ease, fretted as I leaked plan bits over burgers one night. This path's dark, dragging up dad's end, lawyering against fam could warp you. His alert stuck. He was solid, favoring peace over scraps. No retreat, I fired. She gunned for my ruin. He nodded but tacked. Just hold on to you, admit it. His hesitations echoed my best friend's, but lit me to hone moves with the lawyer. Over weeks, elements snapped together. He locked the deed as phony per expert breakdown and pinned my mother's contact to a dodgy firm across the bridge. Subpoenas unearthed exchanges between them, plotting deed flips before my father's crash. This yells conspiracy. He laid at our third sit. Launch the contest next month, but lead with a lock letter on shop transfers. My best friend's tip netted a voice. A past co-worker of my mother's spilling the liaison sparked pre-dad's drop. The therapist drilled me on face-offs, simulating calm if my sister reached. The guy's doubt mounted, but he lingered for evening vents. By end-month, framework was ironclad. Amass airtight backing, then unleash via a city probe writer. I hashed the flow with him one dusk. Letter drops first action if ignored. Shadow with fraud tips to auths. Ta. It'll bite deep, he warned. Kin links could shatter permanent. I concurred, but the drive flared brighter. Locked and loaded, I prepped the initial hit. With the demand letter polished and mailed, certified the opening salvo detonated. The lawyer crafted it razor-sharp, calling for my mother to cough up original records and freeze any shop flips or brace for fraud suits and deed fights. I fired off the first exposé that day too, dropping an anonymous post on a Bay Area forum tied to business law chats and local gripe groups. Suspected deed scam and insurance dodge in family biz-proof ties to cover-up of owner's demise. I typed attaching fuzzy scans of the note and signature mismatches, pinging reporters from the Oakland Tribune. It blew up overnight, comments flooding from folks venting similar woes. Come dawn, a reporter named Lisa Ramirez pinged via the burner the lawyer rigged. Verifiable, this packs punch, she messaged. We linked at a cafe by the lake, me sliding doc copies sans kibitz. My mother doctored my father's deed to edge me out, maybe rigged his end for the cash in. I laid low-key but solid. She vowed hush till drop, but the piece hit digital 2 days on. Oakland mom eyed in biz fraud over late hubby's exit. It unpacked the bogus signs buried note and teased my mother's contact without ID yet. The affair leak timed for max sting. The lawyer dug emails from the contact's old server showing steamy swaps with my mother pre-drop. I funneled them anonymous to Lisa, tipping his current digs over the hill. The refresh exploded. Affair and plot, fresh dirt in Oakland scam. Feeds ignited neighbors, office buds, my sister's crew, sharing, tagging my mother with real ho and disgrace if true. Her line must have erupted. I snagged a frantic voicemail that eve. What have you done? This is torching me, pull it. I wiped it cold. The rush blended with a gut twist. My sister texted next day. Got a chat. Mom's wrecked. I okayed a neutral bench by the water, her showing rumpled no gloss gripping a latte. Why blast this public? Couldn't we keep it in-house? She begged. I recapped the proof flat. You knew the deed play. Picked her for the haul. She wavered, copping. I caught a fair vibes back then, but Mom swore zip. The deed figured legal. Pressed, she spilled a nugget she'd spotted the contact at the shop lately, hashing quiet asset dumps. It cracked open for the lawyer to haul the contact in. But she balked at standing up. Team you nukes, the fam eternal. She stuck guard bailing with a jab. You'll rue this. Her split showed rule follower sis now ripped, but tie one temporary. The guy pulled back as buzz swelled. Over tacos at my pad, he hit me. This ain't you airing mom's fling online brutal. Quit, or I'm out. I can't see you turn venom. It burned. He'd been my steady cracking smiles through the grind. Justice, man. She aimed to wreck me. He shook head. Justice skips her mud level. Strain spiked hangouts flipping to ethics spats. I charged on, sinking with the lawyer for the drop. The suit filed a week out, nailing my mother on fraud, forgery, and possible setup link to the insurance. The contact got tagged, co-defendant his outfit raided for files. Media amped local spots ran bits quizzing locals on post-dad weirdness. I tracked from distance. My mother's profiles locked down. Her bank gig paused her amid probe whispers, and her social circle ghosted. My sister's silence hinted crossfire catch. The progress high clashed with the guy's fading vibe. He bailed plans thrice. Texts curt. The lawyer updated, contacts folding deal bait might flip on your mother. Pivot point, but the therapist's echo rang in meets. Revenge pumps now, but tally losses. I shrugged it, zeroed on rap. The mess sprawled citywide now. My mother's rep shredded first hearing neared. The hearing played out in a stark Oakland courtroom jammed with press and locals hooked by the scandal's heat. The lawyer laid out the case like a pro, rolling the forgery breakdown, the contact's taped spill, owning the fling, and my mother's push to tweak the deed. plus ledgers flashing dodgy shifts after my father's wipeout. She framed it as securing the kids. He testified, dodging my mother's icy glare from the defense side. My sister hunkered in the rear, her expression a tight mask of tug-of-war, but she clammed up no words for either camp, her prior shield for my mother now a mute ache. The judge hammered quick deed, tossed shop and leftover haul, reverted to me and my sister, per my father's true setup with fraud and plot wraps pushed for prosecutors. My mother's bail spiked sky high. She shuffled out, cuffed, her standing wrecked axed from her gig, iced by pals, her bank crowd dropping a formal cut. My sister rang once, post-ruling, her tone cracking. You got it. But what's the price? Mom's crushed and I can't square this. I tried reasoning. She yanked us in ages back. You backed her play. She clicked off, and poof, ghosted since her feed's blocking me. Our link snapped like brittle wire. The score rang empty. Carving assets meant offloading the shop regardless, splits after fees netting me $120,000, enough for footing, but the heart hit piled. The guy sealed the gut punch over bruise at my spot a week later. Can't hang with this anymore. Seeing you engineer that takedown, it shifted you. The rage, the fixation ain't the you I dug. His gaze sad but locked. Warned you halt or bail, you rolled on. I begged. Justice, dude, she earned it. Sure, but you dropped your core. Later. The door clicked soft, his echo lingering. The therapist nailed it in our huddles. Revenge spikes short, but the gap after bites real. Spot on. The buzz crashed to solitude nights, eyeing ceilings, pondering if truth's price gutted the gains. Legally aced, the court handed my full cut, my mother's trial gearing with DAs stacking setup wraps off the contact's words. But the win dragged heavy kin bonds nuked. The guy vanished, even my best friend easing back with worried pings on my edge. Payback delivered equity, reclaiming my father's intent and my stake, but raised the rest. The void gnawed a nudge that some winds wound the victor deepest. 6 months down the line, I stood in the main room of my fresh unit in Oakland, a cozy setup I snagged with my slice of my father's haul. The $120,000 from the shop flip post fees covered the deposit, leaving buffer to deck it with clean vibes, pops of color, a dedicated station for my designs where I sketched freely for the first time in ages. My role at the agency had bloomed. I spearheaded a district-wide branding push for small spots, with funding juicing my resources twice over. The gig anchored me, proof I could spin gold from the wreck. I kicked off a side feed, dishing tips for folks navigating kin backstabs, navigating deed tussles, drawing lines, rebounding post-loss. Feedback rolled from nationwide tales echoing mine clans ripped by grabs or hides. It wasn't mere vent, it wired me to a squad I never knew I craved. One afternoon, snagging Joe near the bridge, I bumped my sister. She looked beat, her sharp style swapped for basics and weary eyes. Can we grab a minute? She hesitated. We parked at a side table, tension thick. She owned the fallout had flipped her world. Her tie strained under the glare, her position wobbly. I should have called out Mom's BS, she murmured, feared tanking it all. I tuned in, walls up but easing. Sought fairness, not your hit. But you picked quiet. She nodded, eyes wet. Yeah, sorry. It didn't mend full, but cracked a gap. We swapped digits, nodding to baby steps, maybe a ping here and there, but I guarded my zone, shielding the calm I'd clawed. Romance seemed off-limits post-guy, but a fresh teammate, a collaborator on visuals who rolled easy and open, shifted that. Late brainstorms on concepts turned to real talks about craft and chaos. I dropped my saga. You stood your ground, he said. No preach, pure get it. It sparked fresh me treading, slow pulling lessons to prize links over fights. The therapist's meets kept rolling, unpacking the post-win dip. You seized your reel, she said in our rap. Now craft beyond it. Hindsight hit payback, netted fairness, honoring my father's aim and my claim, but axed kin warmth and chunks of old me. My mother's fraud trial wrapped with 5 years. The contact nabbed 3 for the scheme. No glee, just seal. The takeaway clicked clear. Betrayal stings deep, but rising up hands, you strength, don't let kin snuff your spark. I penned in my feed. Revenge reclaimed my due, but cost cared ones. Facing a clan that undervalues you, draw boundaries. Guard your calm. Walking isn't weak, it's power. To all tuning in, don't let stabs shape you. Pick you, but weigh each clash's toll. Thanks for riding this ride. If it hits home, drop thoughts below. What's the clock say your way? And how have you tackled hard calls? Smash like sub and let's unpack more paths together.